Hey there!
Hello.
Welcome to Revision Online.
Online 2021.
One.
We totally rehearsed this.
We totally rehearsed this. We are so glad that you're here with us this year again. We're a bit sad that it has to be online again, but that's just how things go right now. Yeah.
It just happens, and well, we're trying to make the best of it.
Yeah, but we are really excited to have you all with us here. We have a lot of stuff planned for you. This weekend we already have tons of entries.
Yep.
And
it's only going to become more, I guess.
It is, yeah. And we have a lot of, I don't want to say sideshow content, but we have lots of events, like we have seminars, we have the DJs, we have
special music events
and everything, yeah.
We've got the Meteorics coming up.
Yeah, but some of you might be here for the first time and you have no idea what's going on. The dojo, can you enlighten us a bit of what the hell is going on here?
Well, yeah. Hello, everyone who has no idea what the hell they just stumbled into.
Or who we are.
Or who we are. First of all, we are your hosts for the rest of the weekend. The gentleman to my right is Mr. D.Fox.
And the beautiful person to the left is Dojo.
Oh, you mean me? Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you have no idea what this is something called a demo party. And if you hear the word demo and you think people marching on the streets protesting against something, this is not it. We'll go into detail very soon, in like 15-ish minutes.
10 to 15 minutes after we're done with the introductions, yeah.
We are going to talk at length about what's the demo scene, where does it come from, what the hell are we doing here? Sometimes we even don't know ourselves, but we're still trying to explain.
Yeah.
And also to illustrate our points, we're going to show you a buttload of demos to kind of entertain you and us.
So, what is Revision? Revision is or was before COVID, was the biggest pure demo scene party in the world, which usually takes place over the Easter weekend in Saarbrücken, Germany. And we have 1,000 people, not online, on site. And we have lots of competitions, lots of entries. But due to COVID, we are being forced to hold this event online. We did it first last year. We do it again this year because the restrictions still don't allow us to have a real live party. Mm-hmm. So yeah, we're doing it online, and what we try to do basically the same with what we do on site in the EWEC in Saarbrücken, which is buttloads of competitions, tons of creative content that you can see. We have seminars, we have all sorts of things. So Revision is basically an example of a demo party. There are lots of demo parties worldwide, which we'll also talk about in a bit. Mm-hmm. And so that's it really, really, really in a nutshell. So last year, I think we had about a couple of thousand viewers on Twitch, which exceeded our normal on-site visitors. So we are very happy to have you all online and on board and back here. And also, as Dojo said, for the people who are new here, you have no idea what the hell is going on, we'll have a lengthy introduction to that. So, but we have a couple of infos of stuff that has already happened or will happen today. So we go through these quickly first.
First of all, the main question is, how can I watch Revision? Well, surprise, you already do.
You're doing it right now.
But this year we actually have a second stream. We moved most of our seminars onto a separate stream.
You can see the URL down there.
There it is. And all our seminars will be on that second stream. Some of the seminars will actually be on this main stream. But we're mainstream now.
Mainstream.
Shit.
The demo scene is totally mainstream now.
Oh, we lost the game. And so whenever you feel like listening and watching experts in their fields describe at length what they're doing and how they're doing it and learning a lot of the process, that stream is the place to go.
Also on Saturday night and Sunday night, after the compo blocks are over, we're also hosting the compo studio there, which is managed by Scene Set and Chips and Bricks. And it will start roughly at 0:30 in the night, so Saturday night or Sunday morning, and Sunday night or Monday morning at about 0:30 you'll get a recap and discussions about everything you saw in the competitions on that day.
Kind of like your late night talk show, right?
Kind of like the late night talk show we had at the real Revision in Saarbrücken. But this time there's much more time, there's no distractions from noise going on, so expect a lot of discussion, a lot of insight into what has been presented there. Also the first deadlines are over. Since we're doing everything online, and is a lot of work preparing every entry, and we have to record all the entries this time. Usually we show them, some of them live, but everything needs to be recorded. So we moved the deadlines ahead a bit, like 12 hours earlier than last year. And the first deadlines actually were over like at 12 today.
Today at 12.
Yeah, a couple of hours ago.
Right.
So, and the next deadlines who are coming up will be tomorrow at 12, Central European Summer Time. Is summer, not standard. CEST. And that's for all the Sunday compos. But what else do we have today?
Well, today we're going to have no compos. In fact,
no compos.
No compos today. Well, except if you count the Shader Showdown, which we do have. So today you will first have a lot of the two of us talking and showing demos. After which, we will present you with the Meteorix Awards 2021, which is an awards show for the demo scene. That starts at 1900 tonight, so 7 p.m. CST.
Then we have a Frankie's Beer seminar.
This
might sound weird if you don't know what we're doing here. This is a traditional seminar that our dear friend from Belgium is doing every year since, I think, forever, since Revision started. So at 8-ish, I think, you will be able to enjoy beers, and you learn about Belgium, about the country, about brewing beer, about drinking beer, And the people who are lucky enough to get one of the beer crates before the party, we're very much welcome to taste along and share your insights on the chat.
Yep. And then after that, we're going to jump into the Shader Showdown, where tonight we're going to hold our quarterfinals. So it's going to be 4 rounds?
4 rounds, yeah.
4 rounds of competitive shader coding between a total of 8 participants, deciding who will move on into the semifinals tomorrow. And it will be commentated by live commentators and accompanied by live DJs. So that's going to be...
it's going to be a lot of fun. A lot of mayhem, a lot of fun.
Yeah. Super interesting.
Yeah.
And after that, we're going to close out the night with 2 DJ sets. One by our beloved Lindrum, and the other by our also beloved Luguber.
Yeah. So I think that is about what's going to happen today.
Yeah.
There's a couple of other information that might be relevant for you. So we sell tickets for Revision, and we sell T-shirts. But why would you even need a ticket? Usually, I mean, you can't.
I don't have one.
You don't have a ticket.
I don't have a ticket.
Get out.
Oh,
security. You don't need a ticket. You can watch the stream for free. The same goes for the seminar stream. But if you want to participate in the competitions, you have to buy participation tickets. It's just 10 euros, and the URL is right down there in front of Dojo. And we have to do this. We don't have to do this, but we do this to limit the amount of entries that are flowing in, because otherwise we'll probably have too many entries to even screen, and even less that we can actually show, which is unfortunate. But we have limited time over this weekend. We have limited personnel, and we only have 72 hours to show everything and prepare everything, which sounds like a lot, but it probably is not enough for the amount of entries that will be coming in.
We could show 72 hours of demos.
Oh yeah, we could, but we won't. You have to endure us for a bit.
Yep.
Yeah, and the ticket info was down there. And you can also get T-shirts, the nice T-shirts that we're having on right here, although these are the Orga shirts, so they're not for you, they're just for us, just for Dojo and myself.
The cool
but
people.
Yeah, the motive is quite the same. I think it's a different color and a tiny bit of different print color. Yeah. So that's going to be awesome.
Printing is really, really good quality. I just noticed. It's really, really great.
Yeah, I did it myself.
Oh, really?
Sure.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That is a good Easter present.
I know. And if you are if you have a ticket and you want to participate in the competitions, we have an upload system. It's called Partymeister. There you do all your uploads and all your voting, which is going to take place live or after the competitions ran. And there are also apps for iOS and Android that you can download. And once you get a ticket, you can register on Partymeister with your code, with your ticket code, and you can just upload everything for the combos. But I think a lot of people already did it because the first deadlines have already passed. But still, if you just don't want to participate, but you want to have a vote, you want to have a say in who's going to win, get a ticket, and the ticket code is also will also be accepted as a vote key. So you can just look at the entries, download everything, rewatch, and then vote on who you think is going to win.
Yeah, we already talked about deadlines.
Yes,
right?
We already did that. But still, first deadline is over. Second deadline
is
tomorrow at 12.
Coming up tomorrow at 12.
Yeah.
And tell us a little bit about pre-selection.
Oh yeah, pre-selection. This kind of goes hand in hand with what I was saying earlier about we have to limit the amount of entries coming in because it's just too many. You're crazy. You're submitting so many things, and we are totally unable to show everything. So there will be a pre-selection on some or maybe most of the competitions, which means we have limited time slots for for example, the music compo. Usually we have so many music coming in. I think it's 3 to 4 hours of music, but we only have a time slot to show 1 hour of the entries. So there will be a pre-selection. The entries who are pre-selected are going to the compo. The rest will be, in quotes, disqualified. We only disqualify them so you can use them at another party. So they're not thrown away. Because if we just wouldn't show them and still accepting them as like a contribution, according to unwritten demoscene rules, demo party rules, you wouldn't be able to submit them at the next party.
Yeah. Also, we will not release your entry. We will not make it available anywhere. Yeah. So it stays completely secret that you even participate.
Exactly. That does not mean that your entry is bad. It just means that other entries a little bit better. Sounds good, does it?
No.
Okay, and then we have 2 special fast competitions coming up. Dojo,
Yeah.
can you take us through them?
Well, we.
Can you? Yeah.
I think I can. The first fast compo is our paint over competition. That's the first one, right?
Actually, fast music, but doesn't matter. But
Okay.
paint over.
Yeah,
Here we
so
go.
we have a paint over competition where we are going to show you a random scribble. You see it just down here. And your job over the next 24 hours, pretty much, is, well, until the deadline next
think
tomorrow.
the deadline is...
Until the 12 o'clock deadline tomorrow.
No, the deadlines are a bit different.
Oh.
Anyway, your job.
Yeah, so your job is to take the picture you see here and stare at it for 10 minutes
Or longer.
until it doesn't look like a random scribble anymore, but your brain starts to recognize structures and images and some things in there. And then your job is to draw what you just saw. So essentially, take this as inspiration and draw a picture into it.
Yeah, well, we have some examples of that later in our demo show. And next compo is a fast compo. Fast music compo even. You have 90 seconds of music you can do, and the songs should be related to a demoscene advertisement. The normal compo rules apply. You will find all this information that you saw down there also in on the Partymeister website or in the revision website. You will see those infos and the extended rules. So 90 seconds of music is expected from you relating to a demoscene related advertisement.
And the format doesn't matter, right?
The format doesn't matter. Okay. You can be anything. You can sing, you can play marimba, you can, I don't know, anything that comes to mind.
Okay, so you can upload a mod, you can upload an MP3.
Exactly,
All right.
So, and fast combo deadlines, they are different from the normal deadlines tomorrow. You have basically 24 hours from like now until 16:30 tomorrow CEST. So you have 24 hours and 12 minutes and 30 seconds. So if you want to participate in those compos, get going because you're gonna need the time.
24 hours, 12 minutes, and something seconds, go.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's it for the important info for today.
Okay.
And then all that's left is hopefully not boring introduction to the demo scene from Dojo and myself. So we will switch over to the
slides.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's going to be long, but hopefully it's going to be entertaining. You're going to learn about the demo scene, how it came by, the roots. You will see a lot of demos of different categories, and hopefully you'll learn something. And if we
and if not, just enjoy the demos.
Judge something, just yell at us on chat. We don't read that. So if we get something wrong, please don't kill us. We're just in this for 25 years.
The app.
The app?
The app.
The app.
You wanted to talk about the app.
We talked about the app.
Did you talk about the app?
Did we talk about the app? There's iOS and Android apps that you can download and check your entries. You can register there with the access key, and you can also vote there. And there's going to be live voting, like during the competition while it runs. The entry that you see on the stream, you can already vote for that. So if you want to have some, Nervenkitzel in German, like if you want to participate directly, you can vote while the entry is still running, or after it's done, you can vote for that as well. So iOS apps are in the iTunes Store. The Android app is sadly only available as APK, but you can download it here with the QR code, or there are links on Twitter. Google didn't like something about the app, so it didn't get through the selection thing quite yet. Well, hopefully it will during the weekend, so you can also download it from the Play Store.
Okay. The live voting, will that also be available on Partymeister
directly?
The
live voting is also available on the normal Partymeister website. Cool. With the app, it's just I don't know, I like it more because I have the phone in my hand anyway, and just click for the votes. Yeah. What you can also do with voting this year is, again, you can have a party favorite. Like there will be a prize for the best entry, but the entry that everybody thinks is the best one. We'll accumulate those votes later, and there's a special prize. And you can also add comments, and you can add comments to the entries. We will show a selection of those comments also during our prize giving. Yeah,
nice, Cool.
So don't use too many profanities because we have to
Read them out aloud.
Read them out aloud. Yeah, hopefully not. Okay. So it's time for seminar then.
Yep.
Well, seminar sounds boring. It's a talk.
Yeah.
Because we have a dialogue here, and hopefully a dialogue also with you.
Yeah. So basically, the idea is to kind of take you through, especially those folks who are just joining us for the first time, to explain what is this all about? Why are we doing this? What are we doing in the first place?
Exactly.
And
yeah.
why aren't we marching on the streets with big signs in our hands?
Hopefully we don't need
demonstrating against something.
Exactly. So let's see. A demo scene is about computer arts. That's not how it was usually was defined back then, but we define it like that nowadays because it's more appealing to the unknowing public, so to speak. Computer arts is a big thing. And yeah, in the demo scene, we have all kinds and all forms of digitally produced content, be it,
music, for example, illustrations, graphics, 3D models.
Yeah, videos, animations, and that's the most important bit, is real-time art.
Yes, so real-time.
Real-time, that's the highlight of the demo scene. So what is it though? What is real-time? First of all, it's not a video file, so we're not playing a video. Or if you watch a demo, it's usually an executable on your computer, any computer.
A program, if you will.
A program, yeah.
And then that program goes and draws things to your screen as it runs. It's not taking a video file from your disk or anything and just plays back that video, but instead it calculates what you see the same moment that you see it.
Think of it as like an intro to a game, which is not a video, but it's rendered in the game engine, for example. Or like you might have used a music visualization or VJs. You see VJs. They usually sometimes use that as well. There are a ton of plugins for popular music players on Windows, like Milkdrop or
for example.
Yeah, this is basically kind of like that algorithmic visualization.
Yeah,
but it can also.
The demo is usually more kind of. It's pre-planned.
It's more structured. It's pre-planned. Yeah.
It's pre-planned, but the principle behind it is the same. You take a program that calculates the pictures that you see, that sometimes also calculates the music that you hear.
Sure. Yeah.
As you hear it, just that you don't take any random music and turn that into pictures, but
that has been done as well, but it's not as exciting. Yeah.
But instead you take, you plan what kinds of pictures are supposed to be generated ahead.
Well,
that sounds very abstract.
That's very abstract. We'll go into detail about that as well. And the demo scene, it came from. It's a relatively new art form. It's here like since the early 80s. And about real-time aspects. It's about production of computer animated programs, basically. And I think in the early 80s it came more from the hacking and cracking scene. If you're old enough like us and you remember like getting a couple of discs in the schoolyard from your friends.
Yeah, and then you kind of started the game that you just legally acquired from your friends.
Totally, yeah.
And before the actual game started, there was this weird screen with
maybe music,
with interesting music, and there was some text scrolling through and a big logo, and it was like
who cracked it, who supplied it, that kind of thing, and that was kind of the birth of what we now call intros.
Yes.
Because it was basically back then it was an intro to a game or to a software which you legally acquired in the schoolyard, and
soon people started groups started one-upping each other in terms of what kinds of nice graphics and effects and whatever they could cram into those little intros they would put in front of the cracked games.
Yeah.
And that competition is pretty much how this production of those little graphical effects started separating from the cracking scene as its own art form.
Yeah, and I literally remember getting some new games and putting them into my Amiga or C64, and the intro that was before the game is actually much better than the game itself. That's kind of how I got interested into everything. It's like this is much cooler than the scrappy game. So what is it? Where can I get more of it? Yeah.
Or you were like, what? The game is broken. Something's missing, until you realized you actually had an original this time.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that happened from time to time. That I have an original. Yeah. But yeah, enough talking about demos. I think we should watch one, and that's the next slide actually. That's embarrassing. Anyway. The demo scene, like Dojo said, is like it's split up from the hacking and cracking scene a bit, and became its own thing. And
people kind of coalesced into groups. People started finding each other, talking about stuff. Groups started talking to each other. Hey, how do you do this effect? How do you do that effect? My effect's better than yours. Oh no, I'll prove you wrong, and all that. And people started engaging into this. Mostly friendly, sometimes childishly
competitive
banter.
Yeah, exactly.
But people started interacting, and people started not only interacting
locally
within their town or within their country, but also across countries eventually, especially with the advent of mailboxes, BBSs, modems.
Before the internet, yeah.
And eventually the internet, people started really mixing into each other, groups started contacting each other. Yeah. And even before that...
there was mail swapping, and you could people like from all over the world, they send in bits and pieces of what was to become a demo to one person who put it all together. So there's like formed a lot of groups from a lot of different countries. It's not necessarily from different countries. There are also very, very localized groups. Mm-hmm. But it's getting more international every year. Yeah. And we think we have about 2,000 to 3,000 active demo sceners, on and off active demo sceners worldwide. Yeah. So this might sound like a small community. It is not a big community, but still
it's a very productive community.
It's a productive community. Yeah.
A lot of enthusiasts in there.
Exactly. Yeah. So and. Yeah, what is one thing that I'm being asked quite often is like who organizes everything, and what's important to know is the demo scene is not centrally organized.
Yeah, it's like how can I contact the demo scene?
Anarchically organized. Every group organizes themselves.
Just like the two of us.
Just like the two of us, we are totally disorganized. And but now and then people flock together like us from the Vision organizing team. We are about 80 people who came together in 2011 and started this demo party called Revision. And so there's no central body or administration of the demo scene. It's just like several instances, but we still all communicate through some common channels, which we will go into later as well. How can you contact people from the demo scene? How can you interact with us? And it's sometimes it's astounding how this basically unorganized amount of people still come together on the weekends, and a lot of weekends over the year to come to the parties, enjoy the atmosphere, and enjoy things that the organizers put together and contribute with their productions.
Yeah, we do have, especially these days, we do have our kind of few common watering holes, if you will.
Yeah.
So we all have a few places around the internet, and previously on the BBS scenes or whatever, where we come together. We have IRC channels, we have other places where we communicate, websites where we kind of submit demos and rate them and talk about them and engage in friendly or less friendly discussions. And so there is some sorts of
there's some central hubs, I would say.
Communications hubs, yeah.
Centralized-ish communication hubs, yeah. What is a demo?
Yeah.
We talked about the real-time aspect already. Demo in the context of a demo party is you demonstrate your own skills. It's not like Dojo pointed out, is we're not going to the street and trying to overthrow the government. But what you probably could say is some people or once a couple of years, people with their production overthrow the state of the art that has been established
If you
until
will.
then,
Yeah.
and they overthrow, like revolutionize maybe a category in the competitions, or show something that was before thought technically impossible, or content-wise is something new that comes on. One of the most important, interesting things about the demo scene is there's always something new, something surprising, something exciting, and yeah.
Yeah, by a strict definition, we should call ourselves the show-off scene.
The show-off scene, yeah. We're very competitive, yeah. Don't get out of frame. It's my show.
Sorry. I'll be over here now.
No, it's okay. You can scooch.
Okay.
Yeah. And yeah, I think by the most like a boring scientific description or definition you can come up with for a demo is like it's a non-interactive real-time animation calculated during runtime, accompanied by mostly synchronized music. The music is usually also loud and bass heavy. Not always.
Yeah, we do have.
we have like
I wouldn't downplay the amount of subtle art that we have.
Definitely, yeah.
But yeah, we also do have our share of in die Fresse.
In die Fresse, genau, yeah. So I think now it's time to watch our first demo. And
that's right.
We picked out something that is, I think, interesting. It mixes everything.
Yeah,
There's
nice
synchronized things. It's good code. It's good music.
It's show-offy.
It's show-offy,
but not too much so.
Yeah, and it should be fun. And it is Function Over Fame by Excess, which was first presented at
TRISAC 2015.
2015, exactly. Let's watch this one.
Here we go. Premeditation constantly going on in my brain. I will stack my grain and count my bread. Hopefully I stack a lot and now I'm bread before I'm dead. Hustle on in the sun, then recline when it rains. I'll be chilling in my house, my wife giving me brains. Education every day, boy I'm married to the game. Get a map if you lost, ain't no pen without gain. I told the crash, I'm all about a function of the fame. I'm in a rush to spit a verse, package it and get some change. In a rush to do a show, overseas and get some fame. I'm doing well, don't matter if you think that I'm insane. In the summer make it rain, cause my friend on the bank. Point reason every day, nigga find your own name. And the business, it's a shame if you ain't got a name. Could you go in the rain with your umbrella in your hand? There comes a time, the people just buy you for your name.
So that was your first demo, if you're watching this for the first time. There were questions on our platform. This is Windows PC.
Yep.
And we can talk a bit about the structure of a demo, because there are some things that might be interesting.
Let's first recap what we said earlier about what is a demo, so we can kind of describe and link it to what you just saw, because this was a program. Well, this was a video that we just showed you, but
originally it was a program.
Exactly. Originally, it was a program that ran on a PC live, and it played back the music. The music in this case was just an MP3 file that was played back. Yep. What the program otherwise did is instructed your graphics card to display all these graphics and to kind of create the animation that you saw and the pictures that you saw synchronized to the music while it was playing the music. So the program had all the instructions. It kind of had the plan of what the demo was supposed to look like, and it also contains all the programming for the effects, anything that is necessary to paint a triangle on the screen in the first place, put all the special post-processing filters, all the bloom and whatever you saw on there, the reflections. And also it's got all the timeline that is perfectly synced to the music, that kind of makes the screen flash
at the exact same time,
synchronized to the beat, and the kind of switches effects synchronized to the beat and everything. And now you could say, so what? I could just take Unity and do something like that. 2 words or 2 sentences on that. One is
you can totally do that.
You can totally do that, and it's still a lot. It's still a lot of work, and there's a lot of work just goes into figuring out what you want to show in the first place. And second, this specific demo, like many demos, most demos, is not using any commercially available game engine, but instead this is completely programmed from scratch, from zero, by the people who made it.
Yeah, there are obviously Unity, Unreal Engine, all the freely available 3D game engines are today used to make demos. There are also some professional demo engines, so to speak, like demosceners who had a fantastic engine and they started selling it and that kind of stuff. That is all allowed in the demo scene. But I think the most fame you will get if you code it on your own. But in the end, we are happy for all productions. So if Unity, Unreal Engine, or something like that is your thing, it's not a problem.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah. And if we have time later, we might show one of those productions as well.
Exactly. Yeah. And about what you saw in terms of like the structure. I mean, like a video clip or something. You have like a startup. You get the viewer into the mood. Then you kick up the music, and at some point you might have seen a lot of names flashing on the screen, like names that are not maybe not recognized by you.
Words that you wouldn't have recognized as names in the first place.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's traditional in a demo. Like most demos have like a greetings part. This is where you greet your demo scene friends, like other groups or individuals, and this is kind of a
tip or a shout out to your fellow seniors.
And it's kind of a fixed thing in most demos. What is also in a demo, usually this is what you saw here at the end, is the authors. So who did all of this? There were all the names are there. I think it was Kuzma, Susan, Krusen, and Gloom who did this. So there was a 3-person team who made this production. And I don't know how long they took to do it, but I think it was not months. It was maybe a week or 2. They are professionals in quotes, like professional programmers and graphic artists working in the demo scene. But the demo scene itself is like it's like a creative outlet, and it's totally non-commercial, and I wouldn't say amateurish, but it's what we do in our free time. So I'm not considering it to be a profession. No. So it might be for professionals. It might be professionals
working on it. It's a hobby on a very high level for some.
For some,
but, and some of us actually do turn our hobbies into our profession eventually.
Exactly. Yeah. So structure of a demo. You have like a kind of a flow that should grab the attention of the viewer. and you have greetings and you have the credits. That's kind of the basic building blocks of a demo. Yeah.
And then you have like effects and scenes, and you switch back and forth between those scenes. Sometimes you have hard switches. Sometimes you blend them nicely into one another, and it's all artistic choice of how much content you have and how you want to present it.
Mm-hmm. So let's see. Let's talk about demo parties. As Revision is a demo party, it is important to talk about what is going on here.
Yep.
Yeah. The demo parties also started in the early 80s with like the art form that emerged from the cracking scene, and
People
just
met at each other's living rooms.
Yeah, living room,
and
house in the afternoon or on a weekend. You meet with a couple of guys or girls from your school, and you decide like, let's do something creative this weekend. And you just sit there for 3 days and code and make music and pixel or do something with it. And from these small meetings, they became bigger and created what is since the mid 80s, I think, bigger demo parties. Mm-hmm. And usually in the beginning consisting of young computer enthusiasts, like when I was a little boy.
You have a funny way of saying nerds, by the way.
Well, we don't want to alienate all the audience. But yeah, you're all nerds watching this, by the way.
And we are too.
We are too, yeah. We have the nerds in front of the camera, which is very uncomfortable from time to time.
Sometimes.
No? Sometimes, yeah. Dojo likes the spotlight. I lost my train of thought.
Sorry. Computer enthusiasts met into each other's
living rooms, or like and at some point there were too many. The living rooms were too small, and they started renting maybe like town hall or a bar,
hall,
meet there, and once you had like a certain amount of people, there was the necessity of doing competitions and not just showing what you did, and people come prepared for that. So big events came to place, came into existence, and competitions started also receiving prizes. They don't have to be monetary. Sometimes it's just a nudge or something,
or a Fanta.
Or like a Fanta, a snack, a beer.
Yep.
I once got an empty bag of chips for winning a competition. Nice, yeah. I could breathe the chip air still in there. So it's also an important aspect of the demo scene. Is like we don't do this for money. I mean, there's some competitions with money prizes, but you could never pay any amount of money that would be worth the work that went into that.
No.
Because at Revision, at least at the normal Revision, like when it's taking place in the real world, we have money prizes, but I would say they barely cover like the transport costs and travel costs and hotel or whatever the people who produce the productions need. So it's a matter of honor participating in a demo compo.
Yeah, it's kind of like,
at least for me it is, and I think it goes for the majority of the demo scene.
Yeah, it's kind of like, I think there are three aspects to it. One is the sheer fun of it. It's like fun creating something and then watching it be played on a big screen and
on Twitch,
and watched by a lot of people. Then there's the fame aspect of it. That's a true thing as well. It's like people want to be admired for what they did. They want to show what they did to others, and they want others to tell them, "Hey, this was really cool what you just did." So
and people want to be better than others as well.
That's true.
That's a part of it.
Some want to more be better, and some want less to be better. But we all want to be better. And then there's also what you said about honor. There's the aspect of when I go to a demo party, part of why I go there is I expect to see very good productions on a big screen. I expect to be entertained in a way. But I can't, because all this entertainment is provided by the visitors themselves, I better bring something myself, or I shouldn't expect to be entertained by others.
Exactly. It is not a rule that you have to bring something to a demo party.
Not really, but it is also a driving factor. We've had a lot of people going like, "Oh, I'm going to a demo party, but I don't have anything to show. I just put something together that's fun and that entertains people, even if it's just a funny picture or 10-second clip of whatever.
Yeah, I remember first demo party I went to was Evoke in 1997, in the last millennium, so to speak. And I didn't bring anything. I knew what demos were. I watched demos for years, but it was the first demo party I visited. And even though I didn't contribute anything, after this party, I was so incredibly motivated to contribute for the next time. And so I started learning some skills. And I started with like 3D graphics and 3D rendering. And at Evoke 1998, I brought my first production.
Nice.
And because this was a driving factor, and for me, there's nothing that excites me more, like in my hobby world, than to see what you did on a huge screen with. It doesn't matter if 50 people are watching or 1,000 people are watching, but seeing what you did on a huge screen and people hopefully applauding to what they saw, what I produced or what people produced is like one of the best feelings ever. It doesn't even matter if you win anything or not. That's also nice.
It is. Absolutely.
That is also nice. I won a couple of competitions as well, so it is a nice feeling as well. But watching it together with everybody, that's the best feeling.
Yeah.
What was your first demo party?
It was actually pretty much the same for me, only a few years later. I had a big pause in between. My first demo party was actually Evoke 2004.
Oh, also Evoker.
Yep. And then Evoke 2005. And then there was a very, very long gap where I was just too shy to go to a demo party all by myself. And I'd never found people who would kind of join me. And then eventually in 2012, I managed to find a few friends who would join me to Revision 2012. So that was my first demo party.
Your first demo,
if you will.
Revision
And
2012,
it was a life-changing experience. We went home from there, and on the way home, I told my friends, okay, so now how do I tell my parents that they're never going to see me for Easter again?
Well,
and then I had the exact same thing. I wanted to bring something for my next demo party. So at Evoke 2012, I actually brought my first own
hardware
production.
product. What was it? What is the micro plug or something?
Yeah,
what
the noise plug. It was like a tiny microcontroller that played music, and it was very, very well received, and I will never forget that.
Yeah. And I remember meeting you in also in quotes, because at some point, I think it was 2012, like in September or October.
It must have been 2013.
Some weird guy talked to me on IRC. It's like, oh, I wanted to make music for your demo party, which was another party. It's called the Ultimate Meeting, which is discontinued, sadly, since Revision took off. And some weird guy called Dojoe chatted me up and it's like, I want to play music live on your demo party at the end of the year, and he sent me a mixtape, basically a set, and
I wanted to actually play music and then have Troubleholics live code shaders,
which was kind of one of the first instances of having live shader coding, which we get into later. And that's how I got to know you, and my life has never been the same again.
Oh, you're so cute.
I know. Anyway,
same here, really.
History, we fit quite well together, And thank you again for hosting this with me this year.
Thank you for having me again.
Yeah, I could not coerce anybody else to come here because I have no friends.
Excuse us for a second.
Anyway, demo parties. Demo parties got bigger over the years. They also got smaller again at some point. I think the peak was like 2,000 people or something, or 1,500 people, like actual demo sceners. There are much bigger parties nowadays, like the assembly party in Finland and Helsinki. But it's like it's a mixture of gamers and demo sceners. So they have like 4,000 or 5,000 people, but the tinier amount is the creative people from demo scene.
Yeah, it's like a big gaming event esports event
with a demo scene part, which is still awesome. And what's important to me at a demo party is apart from participating and watching the productions is because there's some time between the competitions because they need to be prepared and everything.
You get to meet a lot of people.
Social interaction, even for somebody like me and probably you as well, I'm usually very shy. I have trouble connecting with new people that I don't know. But once you have been to a couple of demo parties, you will make friends very quickly.
It's very family
Yeah,
like?
it's weird, even though we have people at Revision from 30, 40 countries there. And if you've never seen that person before, you have something that connects you. That's the common love for the demo scene. And I don't know, there's an instant connection. I have rarely met a demo scener or like a person at a demo party that I didn't like. And it's just, I miss the interaction, especially in the last year.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because we only, we don't have it. I think you're my only demo scene contact during the last year. And
Saga maybe.
And Saga maybe, yeah. I didn't see Saga last year, I think. I don't know.
Well,
anyway,
yeah.
and it's just possible because we live nearby and we've been tested for COVID, so we can do this together actually. So yeah, I miss this aspect, and this is one of the most important things apart from the participation and everything. Yeah. So yeah, that is a very important bit. There are a lot of demo parties also.
Yeah, as we already mentioned, it started with people meeting in each other's living rooms, and eventually it grew and grew and grew until sometimes we actually rent humongous event halls
that we can fill with people and technology and computers and everything. Yeah.
You actually had to look around for quite a bit until you found the E-Werk, right?
It was a lucky coincidence, basically. Yeah. Not sure we have time for that story, but it's a good story. I can maybe at Discord tonight, if someone is interested, I can tell that story. So yeah, I think they're about maybe not in pandemic times, but usually it's about 60 to 80 parties, mostly non-profit. And the amount of visitors that vary from 5 to 1,000 or
And it's so I so love that we've grown into these huge 1K people events, but also we still do these nice, hey guys, I'm doing a demo party this weekend, just bring beer and come over.
Yeah, and it works. And
people do come over and bring beer and productions.
And I love the small parties because they are, at an event like Revision, it's sometimes very hard to find the right people because there's 1,000 people there, and to find somebody specific there is hard. So I think it's a good event. I've never been a visitor to Revision, sadly, because I'm not hosting it.
You're organizing it,
but I'm organizing it with the team of 80 other people. But you have been visiting Revision, but it is hard to find people there. It's full of people, but it's very hard to like. You cannot have in-depth talks there because it's so many people, and you will want to talk to them all. Yeah,
it's a long weekend. You have a lot of time, but divide that by 1,000 people, and you end up having like 3 seconds to talk to everyone.
Yeah.
So you just don't get to talk to many of the people that you wanted to.
Yeah. So small parties, awesome. I love small parties. And small doesn't mean like 50 people. I don't mind being one of 10 or one of 30 or one of 500 or one of 1,000. I just love going to demo parties. Yeah. And yeah, Revision is very happy to be lucky to be currently the world's biggest demo scene only event. And this is what it looks like at Revision. This is the photo is a couple of years old, but it's very representative of what it is.
Yeah, this is the inside of the E-Werk event hall that we're in every year.
And as you can see, people bring their computers because they don't necessarily work on stuff at Revision, but still the people bring their computers to maybe show off some hardware, maybe work on something that does not necessarily have to be released during this party.
Dick around with something in their free time.
Yeah, and this is what it looks like. It looks probably for people who are newer, not newer. What is the name? What is the word for it? Younger people, not newer people. Younger people might recognize this from like esports events, which might look similar. But yeah, it's a big hall. There's lots of computers, there's lots of people, and in front is a humongous screen, which looks very tiny from here.
And also, if you compare this to esports events,
this is super tiny.
Yeah, from this level, it looks like an esports event, but if you zoom in, you will find that all the computers are much older.
Let's see, what else do we have here? Yeah, here you can see the screen is quite a bit bigger than it looked in the first picture. There's also what the fire department would call an extreme fire hazard because the people are everywhere, and they're standing in the escape routes. So we just skip to the next picture because nobody saw that.
We don't do it like that anymore.
Yeah, and this is the view from the opposite of the hall. from the screen, and you see lots of screens, lots of people sitting there and watching and enjoying the competitions.
Yeah, we have music events
at demo
too.
parties. This is all not centered around revision specifically, but this applies to basically any demo party.
Yeah.
Usually we have music events. You have you have either DJs on stage or actual people with actual instruments from time to time.
They call them bands.
They call them bands.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I learned something today. So yeah, there's concerts going around, and actually nerds can dance, even though.
Yes. We dance like nerds, but we do.
Yeah.
And it's absolute great fun. And we have video proof of that.
Oh God!
Sometimes it gets chock full in front of the stage, and everyone's just freaking out, and I freaking love it.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
We also have like at Revision, or other parties have as well, like separate areas where it's not just about putting your computer down and watching entries on the big screen. But there are some like relaxation areas. Like at Revision, we have like a pinball corner. We have outside areas and everything. And coffee stations. Yeah, outside areas is very important. Like as we said, the social aspects are very important. Yeah. And inside the hall is usually too loud to communicate properly. Mm-hmm. So you go outside.
Just go outside, sit around the bonfire, and
if there's a bonfire, sit there.
Drink beer together and have a chat.
Drink beer, play guitar. Yeah. Play some instruments. Yeah. It's happening a lot of times.
It is so beautiful when you have so many creative people in your vicinity, and it always interesting things happen. Let me put it that way.
Interesting, unexpected things might happen.
Yeah. Sometimes we get impromptu concerts out on the meadow.
Oh yeah, we had that with Gasman.
Gasman, for example.
Yeah, with the Specky. That was awesome. Yeah. Another view of the stage, I think there's a DJ in front of there, and he's being celebrated for making us dance.
Getting ready to stage dive.
Yeah, I would do that at a demo party. Also, demo parties are usually family friendly-ish.
Yeah, especially when seniors can be loud, crazy,
obnoxious,
and unruly, but they are also the kindest souls that I've met. When they can be loud and obnoxious, but when you tell them, "Hey, please watch out! There's a little kid here," or "Can you watch my kid for a second? I'll be right over there."
Nobody will say no, or most people will say no. Maybe you shouldn't ask a drunk Finn to do that.
Yeah, maybe not.
But demo parties can be a place of family, even though it's obviously not. Probably not a good idea to have your kid around loud music and loud noises all the time. But we see parents with kids with the big ear protection, earmuffs.
Ear protection, yeah.
So it is happening. It's happening more and more because we as a scene, we are getting older. It's not that we don't have new people coming in, but I think the demo scene is something like once you're in, you're not going to leave easily. So I'm in it for almost 25 years. So obviously I aged 25 years thanks to the demo scene, I would say, but during my the execution of my hobby in the demo scene. Yeah.
But it's such a great family, and we're so friendly towards one another that there's just no reason to want to leave.
That's what we're supposed to say.
And I said it. Are you happy now?
I'm happy. Check. You get your check.
Thank you.
We have some images, some photos from other parties. This was at the Tokyo Demo Fest, I think, in 2011 or 12 when I visited Tokyo, and it is very interesting to see that demo parties are the same all over the world. It's all the same. It's the same people, the same kind of type of nerds. Sometimes you have a language barrier because I don't speak Japanese. The Japanese people have problems understanding my English, but we still could communicate. I mean, and that was awesome. And I have been at demo parties in many countries, and there is a language barrier, but there is no barrier in terms of what we love to do and what we want to see and watch, and so you find a way to communicate, which is great. And demo parties can have all different kinds of forms. There are demo parties that are purely outside or mostly outside, especially in the summer. It's very important to have like a nice outdoor area where you can barbecue maybe, have a beer, have a drink.
Maybe hang out on the meadow.
Yeah, because inside the hall might be 150 degrees, so you need a place to relax.
That's Celsius.
Yeah, exactly. And this banner is fun. It's like demo scene area, no gamers. This has a history.
It's like I think it's from the time when gamers started coming to demoscene events and thinking it was gaming events.
Or it was used as copy parties, like back in the day before the internet, or before the internet was a big thing, and it was fast. People came to these events, and I must include myself, to get some new stuff, whatever it was.
And in the end,
that's just what it was. And
after all, there were like people who kind of didn't mean to contribute. They only meant to kind of
get some stuff. Yeah,
take some stuff in.
And that's where this came from. And there were also some parties, bigger parties, where there was a lot of gaming going on. And it started out like I don't think it was ever serious, but I think it's still on the Revision website that gamers are not really welcome, which is not to downplay a value of a gaming person, but it's just like they probably wouldn't have fun at a demo party.
Yeah, and it's a different audience. If you're a gamer, you expect to sit down and play games with your
friends,
neighbors,
and it's just not what's going to happen at a demo party.
You don't find people to play with. Everywhere there's obnoxious people yelling Amiga around you. You don't understand what's going on. People are showing weird animations on the screen.
Yeah.
What the hell gaming party is this? I'm going home.
Exactly. So don't take this too serious. We still love gamers, and this is just a bit of history, more or less. Yeah. And weird things can happen at demo parties, and it has not always to do something with intoxication, so to speak. I mean, there's
sometimes it's just about being Danish.
Being Danish, yeah. This is the Danish party. It's called Thursdag, or the real scene after Christmas. And for some reason, have you been there? I was there at this party.
I don't think I was at this one.
There was DJ set going on, and suddenly somebody came in with a crate of leek. I don't know why. And then people started dancing with the leeks. And this must sound extremely weird and distracting. And okay, nobody else is going to join us from the Twitch chat. They're not going to be demosceners. No, they didn't know this.
Don't worry. It's just weird.
It's harmless fun, but it's like an example of weird things that can happen.
And
like
we have a weird and kind of unrestricted sense of humor.
Yeah.
I think it's like
might be hard getting into at first, but yeah.
And it's not like it's. We do have our lines that we draw, and we also have a lot of discussion about that. We're gonna have a seminar about it, actually.
A seminar about that, yeah.
But generally
you're very open.
We just have a silly. I think silly is the right word. We have a very silly sense of humor sometimes, and we just do wacky things that people might shake their heads about.
It's the same as like an impromptu concert outside that was unplanned, and just some person decided to, I'll just play my harmonica here, or my air-powered keyboard, which JCO has, I think, And sometimes people bring a leek to a party and rave with leeks. Other times, I think the year after that was baguette.
Or was it?
I think
Tasty.
so. So weird things can happen, but it shouldn't discourage you from visiting a demo party.
It should actually encourage you.
Yeah.
Because you never know what's going to happen.
If you think you're weird, you'll fit right in. One of the things is demo parties are usually 24 hours. Like you start on Friday at some point and you go home on Sunday or Monday, depending on the length of the party. And people need to sleep. It wasn't like that in the past, because we didn't sleep in the past for 3 days. But nowadays,
we're old and we need to sleep.
We have to sleep. And sometimes there are no hotels or like Airbnbs or something in the vicinity of the party hall. And so people we have usually designated sleeping areas. So just people spread out like you see here in the picture. I think it's me just right over there.
It's your airbed, right?
It's my airbed, my fat ass showing out of there.
Oh.
And you just put people in a separate room, have them build up their sleeping gear, and they'll be happy. And if that's not for you, that's not a problem, because usually there are hotels nearby or like separate seating spaces. People are known to put out tents outside if the weather allows it, and the location allows it.
Space for it. Sometimes people just arrive with caravans.
I think Outline in the Netherlands is it's like the biggest tenting kind of event, or people use tents a lot.
At least it's the biggest one I know, where there's the most amount of tents going on.
Yeah, you can imagine Outline as a party. It's in the north.
Underground conference also was very big on tenting.
Very tenty, yeah.
yeah. It was really nice.
Yeah, there are some parties who are mostly outside, and people like to sleep in tents or caravans or on the floor. I think back in the day, like my first
under the table.
My first parties, I actually slept under the table or in the car because I didn't know any better.
Yeah, the first night on my really first demo party in Evoke 2004, the first night I actually took the train home to Aachen, where I studied.
Okay, oh, that's not
And then
too
the
far,
next morning I took the train to Cologne again. It's like a 1 hour train ride. The next night I decided not to bother, and I just slept on they had some nice pillow stairs over there, and I just found myself a nice spot there and just slept there. And I woke up to trance music by Wayfinder blaring out of somebody's speakers, and it was one of the best.
That's the dream.
It was one of the best wake-ups I had ever.
That's the dream, yeah. So yeah, we sleep anywhere. Not under the table usually anymore, but I slept under the table quite a few times, or like in the basement of the party hall, because it was the quietest room, just on the concrete floor. Wasn't the best night I had ever. But you do what you gotta do. So now we showed you a couple of pictures about demo parties, what you can expect as a visitor, but we can also shed some light on how they work from an organizing perspective, or what you can expect.
It's been asked a lot, right?
Yeah, it's been asked a lot, yeah. As said, it's not centrally organized, the demo scene. So people flock together, and a couple of non-profit organizations have come to light in the past decade or two. One of them is the Tastatur- und Maus e.V., which is the organizing body of revision. We have the Digitale Kultur e.V., which organizes Evoke. We have Echtzeit, Digitale Kultur in Switzerland, and there are quite some organizations around the world who are trying to, I wouldn't say professionalize, but it is
like to kind of support
the
scene with something, even if it's just to have kind of a legal body.
And you need that
at
some points. I remember Revision wouldn't work without our association organization behind it, because we wouldn't be able to rent a big hall, because you cannot. The halls are usually not rented to private individuals. So you have to have a legal body to represent that. But it is not a necessity to organize a demo party. You can just organize a demo party anywhere. And I think the most of them, they are privately organized, I would say.
Generally, I think it always works like a main orga, one person
emerges,
or a very small group of people decide, hey, we want to do a demo party. Like, I'm feeling like doing a demo party, or there are demo parties here and here and here and here in Germany, but not here, so we need one here. And so they set out and plan something, and they start asking their friends, hey, you know your way around computers, you know your way, well, everybody.
Or network or something.
Yeah, you know your way in networks, you can do video, you can do audio. And so they start gathering a small group of people who will help plan things, build things up, and run the show.
Yeah. And then once I think the organization is more or less settled and there's a location at a time, the organizers start to invite people over, usually months in advance, because people need to prepare entries if they want to participate in the competitions.
Yeah.
That's how it starts. And at a demo party, you usually have, as I think we mentioned 1,000 times now, lots of different competitions, ranging from coding, like coding demos. There's gaming, there's video, there's animation, there's graphics, there's music, there's all things you can imagine, basically.
And it should be, and I think that's an interesting point to kind of focus on a little bit, because we have kind of two dimensions on which we separate our work. One is we have different competitions for example, different types of computers that a program can run on. Or we also have competitions for different types of media. We have competitions for complete demos, but because we have people who do graphics, those people usually make more graphics than will ever be used inside a demo. We have musicians who make more music than can ever be used inside demos. So we started running competitions for just music, or competitions for just graphics,
or just graphics on old computers. We'll go into detail of that a bit later. Yeah. So yeah, lots of different competitions. Depending on the size of the party, it varies in width.
Variety.
Variety. That's the word. Yeah. And usually demo parties have also a medium to large body of helpers. Revision as an example again, I think our crew is about 80 to 85 people, varying each year a bit. And we need people in different areas with different areas of expertise. We have network personnel who build up the party network. Every table has its switch with a network connection to the internet and the internal network. We have Wi-Fi there. We have to have the servers who run our competition systems and file servers for our crews. We have the compo crew who previews the entries, prepares everything, puts them in order, maybe pre-select things. We have the audio-video team, which we call usually the beam team, which is responsible for showing everything you see on the big screen.
This time we call them the stream team.
We call it the dream of a stream team. And there are hospitality teams like the info team who are welcoming the visitors at the entrance, where you can get beverages or get something to eat. We have, I don't know, all the teams, seminar team,
network team, already mentioned, right?
There's so many teams. Decoration team, like if it was a big hall, we like to decorate some things, so there's decoration team doing that. So, but depending on the size of the party, it varies very much. There are parties organized with 5 people. There are parties organized with one person, or with like 85 to 100. Yeah. And usually like once people submit their contribution to a competition, we have the compo crew previewing everything, filtering out maybe copyrighted material or offensive things, which we filter out and disqualify, which we have to, because there are certain rules to be followed, not just the law, but also like the internal moral compass of the demo scene disallows some things, not all of them, but some. And then there's as said, shown on the big screen, and everybody who has a ticket, who has at the party, can vote for what contribution they like best. So there's no jury or something. No. So it's like the stuff is brought by you and it is judged by you. So it's basically a completely public system. And one of the scariest things as a demo party organizer is you have no idea what you're going to get. You just build a framework. You build everything inside the hall. You provide network. You provide all the people who do stuff. But if there's a year where nobody brings so let's say an Amiga demo, you won't have an Amiga demo competition.
Yeah, even if you prepare your ass off to be ready for an Amiga demo competition, and then nobody brings a demo.
Yeah, and then it's kind of a unique thing. You're completely dependent on what our visitors bring, and that is also the very exciting part, because you don't know what you get beforehand, and sometimes there are things that are exciting. Like
it is so great also for the organizers, because I remember how last year we were like, what the hell are people bringing here?
Yeah, there's I have some insight into what was already submitted, and I can promise you there are some awesome things are coming. But things we obviously didn't know anything about. So maybe that's a good cue for talking about the timetable for a second. A demo party timetable is not exact science, because, as said, we don't know what's coming. And so we have to plan our events according to like historical data, like how long was this competition last year? How long is it usually in the medium of the last 5 years? So there might be delays in the competitions tomorrow and on Sunday, because there's a variety of like maybe our planning doesn't meet the actual reality, which happens all the time. So don't worry if something is delayed or
generally the timetable is more like a loose guideline of what is a framework of what we think the party will look like.
Yeah, and sometimes you're right, sometimes you're wrong.
Most of the time the order of things will be mostly correct.
Yeah.
And the timing will be mostly correct, plus minus an hour,
Yeah,
I would say.
Ideally, not much more than that. Yeah. The public voting. You can vote. You have usually at revision you have a 5-star voting system or 5-point voting system. You can vote for every entry, every contribution. So if you like all of them equally, you give them all 5 points. If you hate everything, you give them 0 points. And at the end, we tally everything, and then at the last day of the party, Sunday usually at a normal weekend, Monday on revision, because we have the Easter weekend. There's a prize giving, and then we'll honor our winners.
Yes.
And
that's also usually the last event.
That's usually the last event
party.
at the demo party. Then everybody goes home, and the organizers are left with a hall that's in shambles and full of stuff that we have to clean up. But that's also a different topic for a different time. I guess that is hopefully that wasn't quite in a nutshell how the demo party works and how the demo scene works, but hopefully it gave you some idea in the midst of our ramblings. Back to art.
And technology.
And technology, because it says there on the slide. Let me advance that. Demo scene has always been about technology, a lot about technology, but about art as well. It started about...
it essentially started with only technology because there wasn't really much space
Wir hatten
for
ja
art,
nichts.
right? Yeah, exactly. I mean, if you think about it, in the 80s, the computers that we had were like this guy over there and that guy over there. We had like computers like a C64 and an Amiga. That one's an Amiga 600. Those were great machines, but they
are great machines.
They are great machines. they really are. But compared to today's computers, they were very limited in what you could do on them. And so a lot of what if you go even further back to hardware like the Atari game platforms,
the 800 or something,
you literally had nothing but code, nothing but programming to rely on. And so people had to invent a lot of crazy technological tricks to make the hardware present interesting and astounding graphics within the limits of what they could do. You could never change the hardware, but you could try to program it in ways that would make it behave in unexpected and interesting ways.
Yeah, there's also like, especially for the C64, there are so many documented hardware bugs that people actually can use to produce something that was not intended by the hardware engineers who put together the machine.
And because the machine never changes, every C64 is pretty much exactly the same. It's got exactly the same bugs. So you just turn it into features. Yeah,
exactly, and that's what's happening. I think still today, every couple of years, somebody comes up with a new graphics mode for the C64, finds some interesting bugs in the processor that can be exploited to produce some interesting things. And I guess, I'm not sure if everybody's familiar with the C64, but it has its name because it has 64 kilobytes of RAM. Kilobytes, not megabytes, not gigabytes, not anything. And the processor runs at below 1 megahertz, which doesn't sound like much, does it?
It's one,
Yeah, but we'll watch a C64 demo a bit later, and you will see that can produce quite a bit of interesting things. Yeah, and because of the hardware limitations, there was also a lot of competition going on because people pushed the hardware more and more and more. Try to do things that were previously impossible. And I think there's an anecdote. I'm not sure nowadays if it's true or not. I forgot because I've used it for 10 years. Like an anecdote is there were groups competing like who can produce like the most interesting star field with the most stars on the screen.
So just white dots scrolling past on the street at different speeds. So it would look like you were flying through the stars in a starship, looking out the window.
Yeah. And there was people like, okay, I can have 100 stars, and the next game I have 200 stars, and then 500 and 1,000. And at some point, there was somebody who said like, oh, I can do unlimited stars, and he just presented a white screen, which was not wrong
Oh
technically.
my God, it's full of stars.
Full of stars, yeah. As said, I don't know if it's true or not, but I think I heard something like
but
that a long time ago.
Yeah,
yeah.
Every time you have like this technological arms race, until at some point somebody proves, okay, this arms race has now become ridiculous. Let's switch
Let's
to
troll.
something else.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and yeah, since the 2000s, I would say, since the PCs became more powerful.
Yeah, I would
Or
even
a
say
bit earlier, but
in the 90s it was called design.
90s. Yeah, and since we have more power to our fingertips in terms of at least PC hardware, and there was a shift happening, not away from technology, but mixing technology with more high-end quality graphics and maybe even artistic content with direction and stuff.
Exactly.
We had this before as well, but it was rare, and then it became more common to have like a story to tell, a progression, not just in effects and technology, but like a story and
It's essentially you can
told something.
You can do pretty much anything on hardware now with very little effort until of course you go into very cutting edge territory. But these days you can. It's no problem or relatively easy for someone to kind of draw a few triangles on a screen using your graphics cards. You don't have to write a complete 3D engine anymore, and so you can, if that's not your thing, you can just focus on the artistic aspects of a demo because the technology has been sorted out by now.
Yeah, you can, for example, as we said, like use Unreal Engine or Unity or something. You can focus on the art and on the presentation of it. But not everybody wants that. People still want to code their own 3D engines and everything. But it's not a requirement. So yeah, I think now we have a demo that should
Cutting edge.
show that it is 9 years old by now. But I still consider it to be one of the best examples of having cutting edge technology and awesome direction and quality content.
Just showing a piece of art, an animated piece of art using technology that was cutting edge when it was released 9 years ago and still looks really good today.
Exactly. So now we're watching Space Cut by CNCD, which was first presented at Assembly 2012. Enjoy. So that was Space Cat by CNCD, and even after 9 years, I still think it is awesome.
Still
I love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
It's still a beautiful, especially that first part, Sublime.
Yeah.
I love it with the violin player.
Exactly. Yeah.
Really, really cool. And I want to stress again, what you just watched was, it was actually, I have to tell this story.
Okay.
What you just watched was created by a computer in real time. Those pictures did not exist before they were generated. They were calculated in real time by a program doing naughty things to your graphics card. And I remember because that's how in 2012 it was so cutting edge. I was at, I think it was Evoke.
Just a week after assembly. Yeah.
Yeah, just a bit after, and it was some pause, some hole in the timetable, and so nobody was doing anything, and so suddenly this video was showing on the big screen. I was watching it. I was mesmerized. I was watching it from start to finish, and I was like, holy crap, what a beautiful video, what a great animation. And then I realized that was actually a demo running in real time on a graphics card.
Yeah.
And that blew my mind twice.
So yeah, I hope we have now established what a demo looks like, what are demo parties, and yeah, but there is more. A demo can be in size anything nowadays. There were size restrictions like 10 years ago, like 32 megabytes or 64 megabytes for the package, for like the package with all your assets, music, and the code.
There is no such restriction anymore.
I don't think so. And some parties still have that.
Yeah, people will look at you funny if you bring a demo that's 2 gigabytes in size. But
well, that was going to be weird. I think the biggest thing we had was maybe a gigabyte or something. Yeah. But usually demos are quite a bit smaller. I think they range below 100 MB. I would say in general. Yeah. But
it wasn't like that earlier.
Earlier, yeah.
As you say, wir hatten ja nichts.
Yeah, there was RAM limitations. Like the RAM of your machine was 16 megabytes or 32, so you couldn't fit anymore anywhere.
And remember how we said that it all started with those little introductory screens that were slapped in front of a game. Well, there was already a game on that floppy. So you didn't have a lot of space left to put your extra code in front of it.
Sometimes like 1 kilobyte or less, or like 3 to 4. And yeah, from those intros from the games or from the software came another type of competition. It's called intro, and intros are usually also vary in size. They are very, very, very tiny intros, like just bytes, 64 bytes, 265 bytes, 56 and 65. 4 kilobyte, 8 kilobyte, and 64 kilobytes are now the most popular forms of entertainment, so to speak.
I mean, those are arbitrary chosen nice powers of 2, but it kind of gives you an now arbitrary restriction, and restriction fosters creativity, right?
Yeah, and the restriction you had on the old machines back then, when there was just nothing more available, people just started imposing the limits to themselves. Like, what can I do in 64 kilobytes of executable? It doesn't have to be 64 kilobytes of code. There could be music in there or like graphics, but 64 kilobytes, it's not that much. You cannot fit much in there. It's like, I think I've gotten emails that were bigger than 64 kilobytes.
Yep.
So it's not much of room in there.
Yep.
Yeah. And yeah, the competition aspect here is
how much content can you cram into the space you're given?
Yeah. And it is surprising how much is possible.
Yes. It is very, very close to magic.
Exactly. And we're going to jump in and show you a 64 kilobyte intro called Elysian by Logicoma. Presented also again at Trisac. It's a good party for releasing, apparently. 2016. And remember, it's a 64 kilobytes and executable, but I think this runs for a couple of minutes.
It does.
It does, okay. So let's have a look at that one. So that didn't look very much different from the demo we saw before. Kind of. It did not.
Yeah, it's I'm telling you, magic, right?
Yeah, but it's probably like 100th or a thousandth of the size of Space Cut. I don't know how big Space Cut is, but yeah.
Bigger.
So intros are very interesting in terms of how you do them. The end result might look similar, or even the same, or even better sometimes. A lot of times, 64K intros can look much better than a huge demo that has hundreds of megabytes because the creators put different kind of effort in and polish other bits and pieces. Yeah.
And sometimes it makes you focus more on the things that are really important.
Yeah.
But yeah, how does it work?
How does it work?
How do they cram so much content into 64K?
Yeah. I mean, first of all, what you saw, there was no really complex geometry in there. And that has obviously a reason because there's no room for complex geometry that you maybe model in 3ds Max, Blender, or Maya or whatever, and can just import into your 3D engine like Unreal or Unity. Yeah. So all the objects and everything you see is generated in the code, and you can get more complex objects with it, but you cannot save those complex objects within your executable. So you have to find creative ways to generate this with code. A sphere can be generated quite easily, or like a rectangle or like a cube. They can be generated quite easily. But you can also add steps to
deform them.
20 cubes and build like a person or leg or something.
Them the cauliflower.
Yeah, cauliflower.
But yeah, it's like essentially you do not store your graphics assets anymore, but you store the recipe for the assets and a program that will read the recipe and reproduce your assets
builds it in
scratch.
A pre-calculation or in real time. Yeah. I mean, that still runs in real time, but there's usually some pre-calculation involved, like where you generate all the objects and the music, especially because obviously in 64K you cannot cram a 3.5 minute MP3 file in there.
Exactly, that is no longer an MP3 in there, but now this is a software synthesizer, a program that generates music from music instructions, like a MIDI file, if you will, and does so at least either before the demo starts to pre-calculate the entire soundtrack, or it does it even in real time.
Mm-hmm. So same with creating like 3D objects or graphic assets. You have code that generate your instruments, your sounds, your waveforms, and then you have obviously somebody who can put this in the correct order so there's music coming out of it, not just sounds. And this is all crammed into 64 kilobytes of executable. And we're talking about not just generating the music, but also playing the music. So there needs to be a player in there. Usually there needs to be a unpacker in there.
Yeah, it's all there's a lot of compression on there, essentially like a zip file.
Yeah, but
except
more.
It kind of except it compresses more. It's very specialized towards the type of content that you put in there to achieve better compression, and it expands itself into memory and executes itself.
So 64K can be 64 kilobytes on your hard disk, but it can expand to like several gigabytes in your working memory before it runs.
Yeah.
The same goes for demos, obviously. Yeah. But 64K's the difference is a bit more staggering. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so let's see what happens when you
go down further to 4 kilobytes.
Yes. 4 kilobytes is also a very, very popular category of productions in the demo scene. Yeah. And they have been very, very popular for decades now. Mm-hmm. And especially in the last 10 years, 4Ks have gotten another impressive boost in visual fidelity and and musical fidelity. Yeah. Yeah. And what all you can cram into 4 kilobytes. And if you, think about 4 kilobyte, that's about a page of text. Maybe 2.
Yeah, it's my mail footer. 4 kilobytes. Eisenerz by LJ and Virgil, Evoke 2019, and you will see a decrease in, I wouldn't say decrease in quality, but there is a difference.
It will look different. You will notice some differences, but also you wouldn't
think that it's just 1/8 of the 64K that you saw before. So let's have a look at this one. 4 kilobytes. It's not much.
That is not very
But
much.
what we just saw, there was quite a bit.
Yes.
I love this. I love this
Yeah.
this intro from LJ and Virgil. And yeah, I fixed the typo. Thanks for reminding me that Virgil is written with 2L. Basically the same principles apply then for the 64K.
Yep.
Just you don't have that much space
goes
for anything
even
here.
further.
I think usually the music is around a couple of hundred bytes. The music replayer is less than 1 kilobyte, and then you have around 2 kilobytes for visuals.
Yeah.
And that's not really a lot.
Yeah. And the visuals are essentially, but at this level, it's mostly maths.
It's math, yeah.
So essentially, with most of the time, what people do these days to create these visuals is they try to describe their world in terms of a mathematical function, which is an entirely different way of thinking than modeling something in Maya or whatever. And as you can see, people have become really, really, really good at it.
Yeah. Yeah, we have another category. This is 8K. This is double of 4K, obviously, but the same principles apply as with the 4K. You have still a couple of hundred bytes for the music player and the music, but you have a lot more in terms of for visuals or for like content creation.
Yep.
So an 8K it doesn't have to be like twice as long as a 4K or twice the effects, but it can be something entirely different. And I think this is a very good example. It's also a funny one with a story. It's called One of These Days by Loonies, and it was presented at Revision 2018.
Enjoy.
That's 4K more than the last one.
Yeah, that's quite a bit.
Quite a bit, yeah.
When we were watching, we were joking like, oh, 300 bytes left, let's add a tunnel.
Probably was like that.
Yeah, but it was this, as you see, there's, once you've got the basics down, you suddenly still have 4K more of space to add additional content, and people do make good use of that.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure this could have gone differently, like spending more space and more performance for the music or for the visuals. You can pick and choose in this time, and this was I love the music. It fits the atmosphere perfectly, but it was clearly focused on having more graphical content in there. And compared to, let's say it's, I'm guessing that LJ had like 2 kilobytes for the visuals in the 4K, and I guess here I think Cycle was doing this, like had 6.5 kilobytes for visuals. It's quite a bit more, and I love this. This is fantastic. Yeah.
Really, really cool.
I guess that was most of the interest, but we have one left, and this is going in the other direction again. And
let's see what people can cram into way less.
256 bytes. That is less than a tweet.
That is less than a tweet these days.
After the extended tweet length.
Yeah. That's less than 2 text messages on your old telephone, on your old mobile phone.
Yeah.
And people actually cram an astounding amount of content into these things. These are usually programs that run under DOS, under a very old PC operating system, because they can write programs that don't have any overhead, any headers, no nothing. This is 256 bytes of really pure machine code, but still people do very, very cool stuff with that. And we've picked out one such productions for you, which is Apollo 21, No Signal by Astroidea. And that was presented at Revision Online 2020 last year. So let's have a look. So that was rather silent, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean there's no sound in space.
True.
But generally there's no room in 256 byte intros for music, but there are some.
There are some with music.
With some, I wouldn't call it music, but sound.
Yeah, some of them actually.
Have music, like a beat or something. Yeah.
Yeah, but most of them are silent, and 256 bytes. All of them are put into the graphic effect.
So the moon is not made of cheese; it's made of 265. What is that? 65. That's correct. Yeah, 65 bytes.
56.
56, 65.
56.
I'm sorry.
There for a minute.
It's English. It's English. I know my powers of 2 usually.
Yeah, but as you can see, you are very restricted now. You have to write one effect and make it count, and squeeze last bit of content out of it by modifying just a few parameters.
Yeah, and there was story progression. We came closer to the moon and it crashed. Probably you had the screen glitching, and it's quite an accomplishment.
Amazing how you can tell a story in 256 bytes.
Yeah, I don't know how to do that.
Other people don't manage to tell a story in an entire book.
Yeah, that's true. So I think we're done with the size coding things, and now we're coming to an entirely different segment, which is old school. It's written here, old school versus new school. Basically,
There's not really a versus.
There's not really a versus. Old school and new school. Yeah. So for now, until now, you're only seen recent hardware, demos on recent hardware and intros on recent hardware. Now we're going back in time. Well, not back in time, but back in technology time, so to speak.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, there's still a lot of people doing content and demos and graphics and music for older machines, and older machines meaning either C64 like back there, or even older, up until I don't know what's considered old school nowadays. I think like an old PC, like
an old
468 or something.
One of the first
86.
PCs, an original IBM PC.
Yeah, 8088 is an example for that, like the old personal computers.
Old school now.
Yeah, and we also count gaming consoles for that, like the Game Boy Color. Maybe not the PlayStation or the Wii, but still I think PlayStation can be considered. Oh, this is 32 bits. Not sure if that's counted as old school. Yeah,
that doesn't count. There's
like
some
NES,
gray area
NES,
with plenty of room for debate.
Yeah,
but
like a Super Nintendo, Sega Mega Drive, that kind of machines.
That's really old school.
Yeah, and there is also there's no discrimination between the platforms. I mean, there's some platforms who emerge as like more popular, but every year there's like a weird old platform that nobody had heard about for 20 or 15 years, and there are things being produced for that.
Yes.
And I love that we coexist, like even though there's completely different people sometimes. Some people are focusing on the old, some people are focusing on the new. And it doesn't mean that these are old people versus young people. So we have young people fiddling with old technology. We have old people meddling with the newest NVIDIA GPUs. Yeah. So there's no distinction in terms of like age of the creator and age of the platform they're using.
And the old platforms are still not played through. Right?
No,
we're not nearly done with them yet. As you said earlier, every year somebody discovers a new trick for one of those old platforms. For the C64, every year somebody comes up with something new and exciting that.
Yeah, or they take it to the next level artistically,
yes.
Which also happens. Like. And that is the fascinating thing about the old platforms.
And sometimes I would like to travel back in time and show one of the modern C64 demos to people in the 80s.
Or like the people who built the thing. Well, they probably saw them.
Probably.
Yeah, but yeah, if you would tell the people who invented the hardware that this was at some point possible with it, they'll probably not believe you.
Yeah, because I mean that's like 30 years of incremental improvement.
Yeah. Okay, and we jump right in with an Amiga demo, Human Traffic by Ghost Town and Loonies, which was actually not at Assembly 2012. It was at Revision 2012, I think. It was definitely at Revision. I remember that because I cheered at this demo at the big screen.
I have an idea that it might have been
2014?
released twice or something, or half
There's
released.
There's a final somewhere, but it's probably that I just made a mistake while writing the subtitle here. Anyway, Human Traffic by Ghost Town and Loonies, and a fantastic Amiga demo.
machines controlled by mathematics. We dream electric dreams, got lost in human traffic. We are just machines controlled by mathematics. We dream electric dreams, got lost in human traffic.
Revolution.
And just the way we are, and just the way we are.
So I guess it's a nice example of what you can do on older platforms.
Yeah.
Reading the chat, you're right. You're probably right. It's not really old school, but it was because that's a very powerful Amiga we're talking about here. But it's still hardware that is more than 20 years old. Even the turbo card.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure the 060 is more than 20 years old. So yeah, I think there's a different discussion. But
and
still,
I think also old school, for some people, old school is kind of associated not so much with a specific type of hardware, but with a specific style of demos.
Yeah.
Like arpeggiated music.
So yeah, what you saw here was some nice examples like mixing 3D and 2D content, which is necessary on all the platforms. It's also a very good artistic choice to do something like that. I mean, PC demos do that as well.
Yep.
But it's much more pronounced, I think, on the older hardware because it's a necessity as well as an artistic element that you can use to achieve your content dream.
Live the dream.
Live the dream, yeah. And yeah, I love this demo. It was revision 2011. I fixed the subtitle.
Cool.
Yeah. And yeah, let's see what we have next. I think we have another info. And yeah, sometimes old platforms are not powerful enough to produce effects in real time.
Yep. And so you do what we just mentioned. You put your 3D graphics onto a 2D background, for example, to kind of fake that everything is in 3D. You just have to make it convincing enough.
Exactly.
It doesn't have to be exact. It just has to be convincing.
Yeah, and there's lots of tricks that you can use, and they don't even have to be recognizable. Like I think on the Amiga, it's a very old trick to just use like a CinemaScope or 16:9 screen, even though the Amiga doesn't have a 16:9 screen. But you just put less pixels on the screen, and that saves you some CPU or graphics memory if the machine has that to get to your goal.
And sometimes and it looks modern and artistic.
It looks modern and artistic, yeah. And on a C64, for example, a lot of times you switch resolutions. Like you go from a high-res C64 screen to a low-res one, where you have more or less graphics capabilities to show different things, and you can combine those to produce convincing content that doesn't look dated,
Right.
or that has a special look to it.
Yeah. Or you pre-calculate things. You kind of have, if your effect is twice as complex as your CPU supports, maybe you can pre-calculate kind of half the effect, some initial steps to kind of take some load off of your CPU when you actually render it, and then do the rest of the processing during the rendering. Things like that.
You can do some animations like frame by frame animation kind of things, not like a video, but frame by frame pre-calculated animations or pre-generated animations in there. On the Amiga, on the higher end spectrum of the Amiga, there is like a lot of, if you have 3D scenes, you have a lot of pre-baked shadows or something like that to give the illusion that the machine is capable of doing that in real time.
Yeah.
Kind of like what they did on the PC back then as well, but on the Amiga it's more prevalent, provolone, to use that.
Yeah, and especially when you're size limited on an Amiga too, you have to pre-calculate a lot of stuff. You have to pack a lot of stuff.
Yeah, and it's similar to the size categories, to the size restrictions. You have like the technology restriction over there. Yeah.
And so, speaking of sizes and technology restrictions, we're now going to show you another demo, or an intro on. It's also an Amiga intro, but this one would actually run on the friendly computer to my left, which is an Amiga 600, and it would also run on Amiga 500, the original chipset, as we call it. And this one fits
64 kilobytes.
Yes, this one fits into 64 kilobytes, and it's called Coda by the group Abyss. It was shown at Revision 2019.
So, Coda
yeah.
by Abyss.
Yep.
I love it.
One of my favorite Amiga intros. I
So
love
it's
this
very
style. And
classic style. Yeah.
very, very, very. And this is probably more what people associate with old school
Yeah.
style. Arpeggiated music and graphics that focus more on sprites and some moving colors and that try to
Scrollers.
that try to make the most out of the limited hardware resources they have by adding a lot of style and design.
Yeah.
And speaking of
style and design, I have a dog.
Speaking
I have
of-
a dog on my laptop, so I have
hello,
to
dog.
work around it. We have another.
one
Actual
like that.
old school. Everybody considers this old school. I'm sure it's a
Yes.
C64 demo, but a very recent one from last year.
Mm-hmm.
So you see, it's still alive. It won't die ever. I think the C64. Yeah, and take it away, Jojo.
Yeah, so next up we're going to take a look at what people can squeeze out of the old bread box over there by now. And the demo we're going to look at is Memento Mori by Genesis Project, and that was presented at Function 2020.
awesome C64 demos. They
yeah.
usually run a bit longer, but it is well worth it in my opinion.
Yeah. And also very, very nice music, I think.
Yeah. Graphics awesome. You wouldn't think that's just 16 colors at times, but it's the palette of the C64 is very distinct, and I love the what you can do with it. So it's very cool.
And speaking of, I can't believe it's just 16 colors.
Yeah, we are going to the next area of the demo scene competitions, and this is graphics, a highly active graphics scene of all kinds of platforms, also the old school platforms, the newer platforms. We have even a 4 kilobyte executable graphics competition at Revision and at many other parties. And there is like the old ASCII ANSI art that you might remember. So let's see how that looks like. Here we have some old school graphics. This is mostly, the left one is 32 colors on Amiga, the top one as well. The bottom one is C64 with 16 colors. It looks fantastic. I don't know how people do this. I have no expertise in this area.
You wouldn't believe this. These pictures have only 32 colors.
Yeah,
in them.
or 16 in the,
16.
In the bottom right variety over there. And yeah, some other examples of old school graphics, also to Amiga. And the bottom right one is ZX Spectrum, which I think is also just 16 colors.
Impressive.
I'm actually not sure.
Yeah,
but yeah, the other two pictures have a maximum of 32 colors. And you wouldn't actually think that by just looking at them, but you have to be inspected very close to see that it's actually very limited, very good dithering. And these are usually hand pixels because you cannot use Photoshop on the Amiga, obviously. So
and
there's a
Photoshop
lot
wouldn't be able to do it like this.
Yeah.
I mean, especially the dithering is usually done by hand.
And this is so very highly skilled people do this, setting one pixel after the other and producing these kinds of amazing results. And then the other end of the spectrum, we have the so-called high-end graphics. There's
freestyle graphics.
There are no rules. You can use Photoshop, you can use the graphics tablet, you can scan things and paint over them.
Exactly.
There is a lot of variety there. There are no limits. You can use 3D elements, completely 3D rendered things, or like a mixture of everything. So.
We were just informed via this chat that it was not a specky picture.
The one with the
photo guide is an Amstrad.
It's Amstrad. Okay, okay. I'm very sorry about that.
Apologies.
I made that stuff. The Amstrad. It's even more impressive, I think.
I don't know.
Is it? It's also 8-bit. I'm not saying anything anymore.
Savvy is not strong.
Okay, yeah. More examples of what you can do with high-end graphics in the competitions. There's also a lot of variety in terms of themes. Everything is allowed. So a lot of people doing a lot of interesting things. And these are actually examples of the paint over competition.
That is the one that's just running until tomorrow at 4.
And these all resulted from one of the squiggly, liney picture you saw during our introduction of the paint over compo. And this is what people imagined they looked like to them. And so they started scribbling over everything and until these kind of images emerged.
Yeah.
Then a very interesting area is the 4 kilobyte executable graphics. What you saw with the 4K intro from LJ and Virgil.
Exactly, where essentially all you have is a mathematical formula to describe your picture. I'm oversimplifying.
Yeah, and this is also done in a 4 kilobyte executable. Obviously, you have much more space, because you don't have music, you don't have animation or anything.
Exactly.
So you can focus on creating one single image. Yeah.
You also have a lot of time because you don't have to produce a smooth animation, but you have up to 30 seconds
pre-calc or something. Yeah.
Yeah, you have up to 30 seconds to render your image. So you can essentially run a high-quality ray tracer in the background and then present the image.
Which is, I think, what happens, at least with the Game Boy picture.
I think what most of these people ended up doing.
And I have a huge appreciation for these types of people because I have no math in me.
It's like they turn math into this.
Yeah, and this is one of the most awesome competitions, in my opinion, which is not like a demo, but the skill involved is astounding. And there are some more examples. So you can also create abstract art like this Escher-esque picture on the left, or photorealistic things like the basketball. And in the lower right, this is very interesting because it's like a geometry and shadow-based depiction of a face. I love this. It's so creative.
Yeah, aptly titled Primitive Portrait.
Primitive
because
Portrait,
it's a portrait made out of primitive.
Yeah. Yeah. Another part which we said is like the ASCII, ANSI, PETSCII areas of graphics. So you have like a text mode to create graphics. And
most of the time you can use colors. Sometimes you can't even use colors, and you just have to use characters
yeah.
to create shading and whatnot.
Yeah. So there's lots of room for all kinds of creativity in those terms, and these are done with text editors basically. You can show them, look at them in a text editor, which has the proper font installed. There are some regulations and limitations over there. You need the correct font, and or sometimes you need the correct platform. Sometimes Amiga characters, the fonts look different than on PC. The picture in the top right is C64 PETSCII. These are, if you know the C64, they have like a different kind of symbols on each of the keys, so you can produce like this kind of a graphics bit, 8x8 pixels, which you can produce these kinds of graphics just with using your keyboard, basically. Yeah. And that is graphics. We could go into much detail, but we don't have that much time left, so we have to hurry a bit through the rest of our presentation. Another big area is music. As with graphics, everything is basically everything you can do. There's a competition for it.
Yeah, and we have competitions for. We have the freestyle competition, where essentially you hand in an MP3 produced in whatever way you see fit. We have competitions where you can hand in an executable. It's the executable music competition, where you essentially submit a program that will produce the music you composed. There's usually a size limit.
Yeah. Think about like the music in a 4K or 64 kilobyte intro.
Exactly. That's pretty
much the same basic principle. You have a soft synthesizer going on, which unpacks and generates the instruments and then plays it. And it's started as an executable music.
And last but not least, we have one music competition that is very specific to the demo scene and hails back to pretty much the origins of the demo scene. Well, if you go really back to back to the Amiga, back to the origins, we would be at the old school music competitions, which is all the music that runs on the old C64 and Spectrum and Amstrad and those computers, Atari. But on the Amiga emerged a music format that is still being used today, sometimes also by professional producers. It's mod music or tracker music, or essentially you write your music in Excel, if you will.
Basically, yes.
Essentially, it's it's kind of a step sequencer with fixed steps, and you have a fixed number, usually fixed number of channels, audio channels, and at each time step in each channel you can, but don't have to, trigger a sample at a specific pitch. And those samples are your instruments, and the pitch is kind of your note. And so you can, so your player just runs through this spreadsheet-like structure.
I love that you described it as an Excel.
Well, that's what I think that's the easiest way to describe it, right?
I think, that kind of fits. You got columns and rows,
And so it just runs through these instructions and plays a sample whenever it finds a note. And that's what ends up playing the music. That was relatively easy to implement back on the Amiga. And the format...
It's one of the things that made the Amiga very popular, because it was easy to make music.
And it was astounding music for the day. And so that way of making music has been a staple of the demo scene until today. And we still have very active competitions using tracker formats, where you hand in not an MP3, but a tracker file. And what we are going to show you as an example is a track by our friend Hoffman, which is called Professional Tracker.
Yeah, with vocals by Day Tripper. And you will see now how the music is played, like with the patterns and the Excel sheet.
Yeah, and we can tell you right now, Hoffman played a few tricks on those actual Excel sheets too.
So let's enjoy this.
Professional tracker, progressive pattern hacker. 31 samples of dirty subject matter. We got that Amiga vision. Better bring your homework, boy, cause this is revision. Professional tracker, progressive pattern hacker. 31 samples of dirty subject matter. We got that Amiga vision. Better bring your homework, boy, cause this is revision. Walking all night to that pattern skank, digging deep in the sample bank. Can't leave nothing blank. Trying for the tracks like a battle tank. Roll tracking in our sleep like androids counting. 64 electric sheep. You can find us in the demo scene, proud and raw. Surrounded by Amigas and 64s. 1-bit, 2-bit, 3-bit more. 7-bit, 8-bit, no more. We be making a play with AV projects at 64K. Main aim to win the day. Clear chopping, head bobbing, bag 'em up, never stopping, track smashing, noise catching, get the beat cracking. One more thing left before you go cracker. To the hackers, good visions of pro trackers. Professional tracker, progressive pattern hacker. 31 samples of dirty subject matter. We got that Amiga vision. Better bring your homework, boy, cause this is revision. Professional tracker, progressive pattern hacker. 31 samples of dirty subject matter. We got that Amiga vision. Better bring your homework, boy, cause this is revision. Hoffman breaking up the tracks with day trip and filling in the gaps. Listen up, here's a fact. The demo scene ain't dead. It's just you can't read the code. Better get it in your head before the deadline's closed. Text the form. The fact of the matter is you'll batter you were stuff day before you were born. So listen up before you go crackers. Out to the hackers, good visions of road trackers.
Well,
That was a nice one.
that.
Oh, and I'm sharing the wrong screen.
How did this happen?
This is embarrassing. Dojo, say something quickly. Distract the people.
Hello, I am Dojo, and I am not sharing the screen because D.Fox is going to share the screen.
It's
but yeah,
totally fine.
But yeah, as you saw, Hoffman didn't just create a music track. He also used the unused space in the spreadsheet, the patterns as we call them, to display some graphics and to actually play some animations. As far as I remember, he wrote a tool for himself that helps him put the animations into the patterns. And the mod format actually has a few tricks up its sleeve to kind of jump around inside the song structure, and he's making heavy use of that to kind of just jump to the next pattern, which has the next animation frame in it.
So I've covertly fixed the screen sharing. Yeah.
You're the best.
I know. Actually, the best people are the ones who are doing all the video broadcasting in the background without with us sticking around here in front of the screen, and they have to fix everything we do wrong.
I think the technical term is critical fumble.
Critical fumble. Yeah. Okay. So we have one more thing to show you, but there's two other areas of demoscene to talk about. We have a also animation and video competitions.
Exactly.
And these are part of the demo scene for many years, and they can be pre-rendered, 3D rendered, stop motion, short films, etc.
Yeah,
There's
we don't
also
really
no limit
care.
as long as it's creative, and it is partly has to do something with using your computer to create art.
Yeah, and some of them are actually very, very creative and go to a lot of effort to produce their
Exactly,
video,
yeah.
like the one we are going to show you right now, which is an animation produced for Revision 2014 by Gaspode. It's called Light and Magic, and what you're going to see is an actual Amiga computer and a video being projection mapped onto the Amiga. So what you're going to see is an actual Amiga hardware being filmed while Gaspode is projecting a video on top of it. And you're not going to believe what I just said when you see it.
Okay,
So
let's have
let's have a look
this
at
one.
Light and Magic by Gaspode.
So yeah, another
Very cool.
example of awesome creativity in the demo scene.
Oh yeah.
So actually, we have like half an hour of content more that we have time for. So we have to skip a couple of areas. Maybe we have time to recap that in the morning shows the next days. We will not. Well, I'll put this presentation on SlideShare and give the link to Discord and to our moderators on Twitch, so you can have a look at it on what you missed basically, or what we didn't make couldn't make time for.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, there's one last question. Do you want to be a part of the demo scene now that you learned all these awesome things? And if you want to, the most important thing is come visit the demo party.
Yes.
Revision is a good start. It's online. It's not the same. But it's a good start to get into the mood, get into the feeling. Join the Discord and hang around with the people of the demo scene, or just other enthusiasts and fans, and talk to them in our voice channels. You can download and watch demos almost anywhere on the internet, but there's 2 distinct sites which have a lot of them. Demoscene
and Puet.
And Puet, exactly. The links are there. Demos in Discord, the invite link is also over there. If you are old and like IRC, there's, I think the biggest channel currently is Revision channel on IRCnet, if you like that. If you like to listen to the kind of music that you just listen to in the demos, there's a demo scene web radio called SceneSet, which is streaming music non-stop 24 hours a day, and they even have shows from time to time where you have, like us, somebody discussing things, going into new compos and releases, and just bring you up to speed on what is happening.
Everything you hear in SceneSet has been produced by somebody in
the demo scene,
right?
yeah. And there's hundreds of thousands of tracks, what it feels like.
And listening to it, you're like, okay, these people are all professionals.
Yeah. And if you don't have a PC or a powerful PC or an old school machine to run these demos in real time, there's YouTube channels. Just search for demo scene, you will find hundreds, if not thousands of demos and channels. And also the Revision YouTube channel has all the competitions from the last years. So there's enough content to keep you busy for quite a while.
Yep.
So thank you again for listening to us. And I think we are quite a bit over time, Dojo. But I still have to recap some things.
Yes.
So again, thank you for staying with us for this long talk. But I hope you find it somehow interesting and entertaining. And I had fun.
Yeah,
I had fun. Yeah.
So did I. When we started this, we were like, oh crap, we're going to have to talk for 3 hours on end now. Can we do this? And apparently we can.
Apparently we can
more
do for even longer.
Yeah.
So to recap what we said before the talk is, if you want to buy a ticket, you can still get a ticket if you want to contribute, or if you want to vote, you can do that. The information is on the Revision website. If you have a ticket, you want to vote and upload something, because deadlines are not all over yet, you can do that as well in the Partymeister. You can also download the apps for that to vote and check on your entries. Then deadlines. 2 deadlines left.
Two deadlines left. One at 12 o'clock tomorrow, which is the deadline for all Sunday competitions. I'm looking at D.Fox to nod at me, so I'm being right here. And thank you so much. You give me reassurance. The other one is tomorrow at 16:30. That's the deadline for our fast compos, the paint over competition, where you have to paint into a squiggle and turn it into a guy riding a tractor.
Exactly.
And also the fast music compo, where you have to
produce a demo scene advertisement kind of production thingy. So we talked for 2 hours and 42 minutes, 38 seconds. That is quite a bit.
Yeah.
And I'm ready to eat something.
you earned it.
I'm not sure.
I'm
not sure of that. Okay, so we will be back with you in about 15 to 20 minutes. So go to the toilet, get a drink, and see you back in a couple of minutes.
Bye for now.